terrific, totally devoted to his family and to his wife. Funny to no end. I can remember the antics, and the funny times that he and Uncle Ed would supply us all with. You know, when I think of it, I don't ever recall my uncles being down or negative or nasty about anything or anyone. Always built people up.
He always wanted to feed everybody. And we were so lucky to have so much one-on-one time with Uncle Ted and Aunt Diane in Florida these past many years. And there was always food. And we'd be sitting there having a glass of wine at the condo after he made us dinner, and he insisted we'd come for dinner. He wouldn't take no for an answer, and he was always trying to send us home with food. He'd open the refrigerator. Why don't you take this? You want some yogurt? Here, I got some soup. I made this chili. That was Uncle Ted. He just always nourished us, not only with food, but with love.
We were so fortunate the last couple of years to spend some time in Bonita Springs with Aunt Diane and Uncle Ted, and boy, was Uncle Ted a cook. There was a day where we're like, Uncle Ted, we're just stopping by. We don't need to eat anything. Me and Kieran ended up going down to the pool. He's like, no, you've got to eat. And I'm like, no, you don't have to worry about it. Next thing you know, they got a hold of us, and Aunt Diane's like, you have got to come upstairs. He made Italian sausage. So we did, and we greatly enjoyed it. After we got home from the trip, on our home answering machine was a message from Uncle Ted. Mary Diane, I've got Italian sausage. Where are you guys? It's waiting for you. Come on and eat.
One of the funniest stories that I can remember about Ted, and of course it involves sex, but he had some sort of a procedure done at some hospital somewhere, and the doctor told him, hey, you have to lay off sex for a while. And of course, Ted being Ted, he said, well, what about my wife? And then of course the doctor says, well, your wife can have all the sex she wants.
He was so complimentary. He always has been. Always joking with me and Jill and making us feel pretty, and always commenting about how he's gonna steal us away from the boys, from Eric and Nathan. He was just always so joyful to be around, and he was always making everybody laugh. And I mean, it's so evident how much his family loves him.
I think one of my favorite memories about Papa was when I had a surprise party for Nathan for his 21st birthday, and he came, and I think this was like one of the first times he met my parents and like some of my family, and he asked my mom about being a librarian, and he's like, so do you guys have porn at the library? So that was pretty hilarious. Just thinking about like the fun little quirks and how he brought joy to so many lives with that ridiculous picture he kept in his wallet.
Every time I went over to Grandpa's house, he would make me a steak. And he'd say, Charisse, I've got a steak on the grill for you. And I would say, no, Grandpa, I don't need a steak, because we had all this other food. But he would just make me a steak, and it was delicious every time. But it was so sweet and thoughtful because he knows I love steak. And he would always say, I have the voice of an angel. And every time I would talk to him, he would ask me, how's the boyfriend, Charisse? And I would say, Grandpa, I don't have a boyfriend yet. I don't have a boyfriend. And he would still ask.
He came to my birthday parties, communion, piano, recital, and my garden. Congratulations. That's memories when I got to spend the night and we went to hotels. He knew how much I love potatoes.
I have lots of fun memories of Grandpa Ted. One of my best memories was the time he wore my shoes when his shoes broke.
For a few years, Eric and I brought our G.I. Joe collection every time we went over. And Papa was pretty infatuated with one of these G.I. Joes being a Dwight D. Eisenhower figure. And we would set up these really elaborate scenes, and he would send us on missions and all this stuff. But the one thing that kept recurring was Papa would take his Dwight D. Eisenhower G.I. Joe and take a plastic canteen in his hands and act like he was peeing in it, and then started drinking it. And Eric and I thought it was the funniest thing in the world, whether it was the first time or the last time. Just gut-wrenching laughter. And of course Papa, would follow up with his ha 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 ha.
Over the years, my grandfather spent an enormous amount of time teaching my brother and I strategies on how to bet on horses. My brother and I were able to take my grandfather out one day to an OTB site where he was finally going to put his decades of experience and strategy and knowledge to play so that my brother and I would be able to walk away and pay for the rest of our college tuition. Well, it turns out that all those strategies, theories, and expertise resulted in both my brother and I probably losing the most amount of money that we ever have in gambling. But what we found out was that it really wasn't the OTB and the betting strategies my grandfather was at this OTB site. It was the food. The amount of sandwiches and appetizers and beer that we drank throughout this little palooza was amazing. That part went on for hours. After this wrapped up, we ended up going back to my Aunt Kathy's house, where my grandfather proceeded to then pull out the second round of food and the second round of drinking that ensued for the rest of the day.
I had the chance to live with him for a handful of months while we were moving to Florida, and had worked to get a job as a busboy, and I started to make pretty good money for a 16-year-old kid. And I'd go to the store with him, and he'd buy wine and Target, and look at video games and CDs. And one day picked up 2 CDs to buy with my own money, and he looked astonished. "Why are you buying 2 CDs?" And I said, "Because I want to listen to them. I heard they're both good." And he goes, "No, you're only buying 1." And I said, "No, it's my money. I'm going to buy 2 CDs. And he said, "I don't care if it's your money. You can't listen to both at the same time, and you're not going to enjoy them both if you just pick one and then start listening to the other." I was mad. I was like, this is so stupid. I just want to be able to listen to both these CDs. And he won out. I just bought the one, and then I think a week or 2 later, I got the second CD. And he was right. I probably did end up enjoying it more. And one of the first and earliest lessons in just kind of being financially smart that he impressed upon me. But I was very quick to remind him when he liked to bring up that story that he kind of was a little bit of a hypocrite there. I remember going back to Illinois and hang out over at Grandma and Grandpa's, and he loved to tell the story. He told everyone, "Oh, Toddy, tell him about the time I wouldn't let you buy 2 CDs and you'd get a good laugh." And I said, "Yeah, the more I've been thinking about it though, Grandpa, how come you can buy 2 bottles of wine at the same time?"
Always happy to see ya. As soon as I would walk in the room or a party, whatever, give me a handshake or a hug. Ask me if I want something to drink. Always told me where all the food was. When he came over to help us refinish our basement, which was a big job, he drove back and forth from Orland every day for like a week and a half, but maybe more. An hour drive back and forth. And brought his own food. He wouldn't even let me buy him anything to eat. I think he may have drank some of my beer though.
The very first time we met, and those wonderful words were, "I'm taking my daughter home." And we had 45 years of a relationship from that point on. Celebrating our birthdays together, my children's births.
My dad would say, "Da, da." You always told me I'm gonna live with you, Daddy, forever. I'm never, ever, ever gonna leave you. And you know what, Dad? I'm never, ever gonna leave you. And while you might not be here in body, you are so embedded in my heart and in my mind. And I'm yours forever.
He provided for his family every day. He was convinced to give his family everything he didn't have and make life a better place for all. Dad found employment with Ben Franklin stores. He was the candy buyer. Dad had a habit of bringing me reams of paper home. These were pads that he would order candy on. The back side of these pads were blank. I loved, as a kid, to sit and draw, and that's what I did. He brought me my canvas.
Growing up, I always thought he was larger than life. He was loving and genuinely kind. He was devoted to all of us. He was hardworking, wise, helpful, encouraging, strong, and brave. He was my dad, my hero. He was not about being perfect. He was about being real and honest and sincere, always being true to himself. He was there to celebrate my good times and to comfort my hard ones. I was so privileged to have him for 61 years and will cherish each and every memory we made and shared together.
When I think of you, I think of unconditional love and how you would do anything for anyone and make time for everyone. Coming in for my 60th birthday and surprising me was a moment I'll treasure for the rest of my life. Knowing you flew in February with the snow, the ice, and the wind chill just for me. Especially since Pat Kels and I, couldn't come home for Christmas. You know how much I hated my birthdays, but not that one. Especially knowing you got to gamble. I am so blessed to have been there at the end, here on earth with you, Mom, and all my siblings. I will never forget how beautiful it was and a beautiful life that has left us.
I love you.
Love you.
Love you, Papa.
I love you.
Love and miss you.
Love him.
Love you much.
Love you more than you'll ever know.
My Ted, my Alpha, my Omega, my beginning, my end. You are my eternity, and we will be together. I love you as I always have, and I think you know that, and thank you for the life you have given me. Your wife, Diane.